community. This is Local 5 News with Tom Zalaski, Aaron Davison, and Chief Meteorologist Luke Sanfey.
We've gathered our response teams together at all of our schools. They're working very diligently to make sure that we're supporting our students, staff, and our community.
The community mourns the loss of a high school student after a deadly snowmobile crash this morning. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Aaron Davison.
And I'm Tom Zalaski. A 15-year-old boy from Black Creek is dead after a crash between his snowmobile and an SUV this morning.
The crash happened around 7 this morning at Highway WV east of French Road in Seymour. Officials say the teenager was driving his snowmobile south on the Oneida Snowmobile Trail when he failed to stop at a stop sign and drove his snowmobile onto Highway WV. There he was hit by an SUV driven by a 37-year-old Seymour woman who was driving to school with 2 kids in the car. The teenager, a freshman at Seymour High School, died at the scene. The sheriff's office says they do not anticipate charges to be filed against the driver of the SUV.
In other local news tonight, a man is safe after his truck reportedly went through the ice on Lake Winneconne this morning. The Winnebago County Sheriff's Office says they got a report of the incident at about 6:35 this morning. The man was able to escape and was brought to shore. According to the Sheriff's Department, there have been 5 reported incidents of vehicles breaking through the ice within the past 5 days.
The Neenah Joint School District is looking for a new way to deal with overcrowding in their schools. The district is one step closer to purchasing 217 acres of property for a new high school. Noise, air quality, and soil condition tests have all come back positive for building a school on site. Now the school board must approve the idea. From there, it goes to a referendum in April.
Within 4 years, we would have our 9 through 12 in a brand new school. We would have our grades 5 through 8 in a high school that's still in great shape. And then we would have 5th graders removed from elementary schools, which would relieve a ton of space.
Voters will get a chance to weigh in on the decision April 7th.
Brand new tonight at 6, the President's budget for fiscal year 2021 for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has been announced. The budget provides $181 million for the Civil Works program that maintains federal shipping channels on the Great Lakes and maintenance of federal structures. $3.3 million has been given for flood risk management on the Fox River. $3 million has been given for navigation purposes on the Green Bay Harbor, and $1.5 million has been given to the Sturgeon Bay Harbor for navigation. $4 million will also be given to help manage and watch the water levels on the Great Lakes. The village of Tigerton has lifted their water boil order, and now the village of Bear Creek has their own water advisory in effect. The advisory is due to a water main break near the water tower. According to officials, the break occurred at a fire hydrant. The village of 441 people was expected to be without water just until later on today.
In Door County news, Door County is famous for its wine tasting and its orchards. But did you know that one particular harvest 75 years ago was made possible by some unlikely cherry pickers?
Local 5's Aaron Taylor takes a deep dive into the harvest of 1945. That's when German prisoners of war captured during World War II worked right here in northeast Wisconsin.
We used to be called Cherryland USA. In fact, we still sort of use that moniker.
The Door County Historical Museum's cherry exhibit is extensive, but one photo on the wall stands out from the others.
People will come up to us and say, "Oh, I didn't realize that there were German prisoners of war here."
That's Maggie Weir, a curator at the museum, explaining this little-known piece of Door County's history.
There's a picture of guards holding rifles, but my understanding is they weren't really loaded.
These pictures are just about all that remains of the German POWs' time in Door County.
And of course, most of the farmers that house them are long gone now.
But less than an hour drive up the peninsula is something else left over from that much forgotten era.
This is the Door County Wildwood Market. During the summer months, you can buy things here like fresh produce and tarts. But there was a time when this building served a very different purpose. During World War II, it housed German POWs.
And I just thought it was a very neat building. I knew nothing about the German POWs when I moved the building.
Mark Carlson and his wife, Mary Pat, have owned the building and operated their farmers market out of it for nearly 2 decades.
I grew up in Sister Bay, born and raised there.
But even a lifetime in Door County didn't prepare Mark for what he learned after acquiring the building.
A friend of my dad's stopped in when I was working on it, converting it into a market. Casually mentioned to me, he said, I picked up German POWs from this building. First I'd ever heard anything about it.
Both of our fathers served in World War II, and there was never any mention of it. And yet here it was so close to home. It was home.
And while they were in Door County for the harvest of 1945, it was also home to those German POWs.
A lot of the workers had already gone to war. So they were delighted to have these Germans there that, and the Germans were actually delighted to be here as well. They would rather be harvesting cherries than fighting.
They had no intention of escaping or going anywhere. They were just young people and enjoyed their time in Door County.
After the war and the POW's departure, the county moved on, and buildings like this one were used to house migrant workers. This is the last building of its kind left in the area.
We wanted to keep the face of it looking just like it was. And I've had so many people thank me for saving it, because if I wouldn't have moved it, it would have been bulldozed. History would have been gone.
I guess it's all about the history of it. To be able to have people walk in and realize that we haven't refinished the floors. Those are the floors that the German prisoners walked.
A forgotten history anyone can walk right into, right here in Door County. In Sister Bay, Erin Taylor, Local 5 News.
Thanks, Aaron. The Door County Wildwood Market is open seasonally. It'll reopen after Memorial Day. And for more on what we were able to uncover about the history of German POWs in Door County, you can head to our website at wearegreenbay.com. Also on our website, you can find an exclusive interview with Aaron Taylor and Mark and Mary Pat talking about their experiences while working and living in Door County. And a woman who lived on a cherry orchard in Sturgeon Bay during that harvest of 1945 remembers when those German prisoners of war came to work. Aaron Taylor sat down with Jerry Sargent and will bring us her story. And you can see that tomorrow on Local 5 News at 6.
Fascinating. I never knew that.
It was. Who knew?
Home health care is used by many, but it may be difficult to find in some places. Coming
up next, our D.C. correspondent talks about how a new bill would help the rural communities get the care they need.
Snow, wind, and bitterly cold air is creeping closer and closer. How much snow we're expecting tonight before wind chills plummet to double digits below zero. The Storm 35 forecast is.
You're watching Local 5 News with Tom Zalaski and Aaron Davison.